Now, to be frank, Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. No, literally, I just had to throw To Be Frank in there because Christian Bale is playing Frankenstein. I guess it's just something you guys are gonna have to get used to. I have to toss in dad jokes wherever I can. But alright, enough nonsense. Let's talk about the film. And with that, I want to say welcome home, movie lovers. It's your boy Rossi J here for another episode of Rossi Reviews. Momentarily, I am going to be reviewing Maggie Gyllenhaal's sophomore outing entitled The Bride. But before I get ahead of myself, if you're new checking your boy out, I want to say welcome home. Whether you're a movie fanatic like myself or you're simply wanting to know whether you should watch a movie or not, you have a friend in me, because my mission is to keep the spark of cinema alive and celebrate it with everyone that's along for the ride. Be sure to join my community as I continue my journey towards becoming a Rotten Tomatoes certified movie critic, which means it all starts when you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let your boy know that you're liking the content. I'm putting a lot of time and energy into each videos, not even just getting in front of the camera. I'm editing and making sure you guys are entertained. Feed the algorithm, tell YouTube that you're enjoying the content. It would really mean the world to me. And also, if you are enjoying my energy, give me a follow on my social medias. That's including my Instagram. That's just my personal account. I'm not really posting film related content on there, but just me as a person. X, Letterboxd, and TikToks, in case you're not one to just sit through an entire elaborated movie review. No hard feelings, but I want to cater to everyone that is interested in what I have to say. With that being said, I want to also mention that this is a spoiler-free review of The Bride, so you are safe. I'm not that person that's gonna ruin the film for you, but you will know by the end of this video what I think about it. Now, what on earth is this movie about? Let me tell you. The Bride is set in 1930s Chicago, and it reimagines the classic Frankenstein story. Frank, who's played by Christian Bale, is a lonely monster, and he convinces a brilliant scientist to create a companion for him. And both of them dig up a murdered woman called the Bride and bring her to life, and what follows is a whirlwind of a romance, a cultural spark, and a full-on uprising as the world struggles to keep up with her. And that is going to be the cookie cutter premise of Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. Before I get into my personal opinions, please drop a comment below and tell me what you thought of the film and if you're even excited to watch it. Going into this one, I tried my very best to avoid all of the marketing and trailers. I was initially intrigued with this movie when there was a couple years ago posts of Christian Bale, the pictures of him playing Frankenstein. That was all I needed to get my butt into the seat, because Christian Bale is an A-list actor. He obviously has Heat 2 coming up this summer. He's filming here in my hometown, Chicago, with Michael Mann and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's a separate topic for a different day, of course, but when there was the press release and all the interviews and stuff, he announced that, and people were going berserk. So maybe that was a little bit of a marketing scheme to get people to watch this film, but it's just a testament that Christian Bale is one of the greats, and it feels like there is a dying breed when it comes to movie stars, and people are more gravitating towards franchises or filmmakers. So I would say I was very modest. I wasn't dreading it, but I wasn't overly excited. I was very much in the middle, just kind of lightly optimistic. Now, cutting right to the chase, to be frank, and now I'm actually going to finish the sentence, I thought that The Bride was very so-and-so. Now, the first thing to talk about here that I will give credit where credit is due to Maggie Gyllenhaal is she does eject this movie with enough style to hold you over from this movie going completely down in the dumps. There are sequences where Jessie Buckley's character, which by the way, talk about a powerhouse of a performance. There's this like black and white, like alter ego person that's in her head, and she's talking to herself and eventually possesses her. Like the opening scene is her character getting possessed and dying, which is how Christian Bale finds her and ends up birthing her into the bride of Frankenstein, but that opening scene from the get-go just grabbed me, and I at least knew that this entire film was not going to be flavorless with the visuals. It was going to be its own distinct voice. I will appreciate that, and that's enough for me to walk out not being disappointed, even though that I wasn't all the way a fan of it. Both Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale clock in with two electrifying performances. Especially Jessie Buckley, she goes like high octane on several sequences, and a particular detail that I really appreciate about her performance is just her vocal inflection. There's times where she's talking in this dialect at rapid speed and then she slows down her voice. She's really good at channeling in a range of emotions. And then of course, Christian Bale is being Christian Bale. What I liked about him is he did add this detail to Frankenstein. He had this like limp. It reminded me a lot of Sean Penn in One Battle After Another. These small little details to like make these characters three-dimensional, but on the flip side to that coin, I did find that the runtime did overstay its welcome. There is, at least in my eyes, there was a definitive place that the movie could have ended, but the movie padded out the runtime. And that's not the only occurrence where this film decides to do that, but there was a moment where these two characters were at a drive-in movie theater. That's all I'll say, but you'll know exactly where this is in the runtime when you get there. And I thought right then and there, if they would have ended it with the resolution that I thought was going to be the ending, it would have been more satisfying. But then it kind of just became repetitive, doing the same beats a couple more times until it actually ended. So I do think that the film would have benefited more if it was 20 minutes shorter. In addition to the ending, the film also pads out its runtime with a subplot that was half interesting, revolving around two detectives that were going after Frankenstein and the bride. There's sequences where these two characters are talking, and I'm kind of just like, I really don't care. I just kind of want to get on with the plots. Even with these detectives that I did not care for, there is attempts to flesh their characters out and add more conflict. I'm seeing a lot of people draw comparisons to Joker Folie, Deux, which that was a flop. I'm not gonna go off that tangent because I would be here for 10 million hours. However, I did want to address this because both films come from under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. That can't be a coincidence. But more so than Joker 2, I saw a lot of Bonnie and Clyde injected in this. And in my eyes, that was when the film was at its best. Particularly in the middle act where you have these two characters that have their romance established and they're going on this road trip, it feels like, and they're going from location to location and stirring the pots. That was when the film had its best entertainment value. But then the last thing to talk about before getting into my final verdict is there is a heavy emphasis on the film's commentary. And you guys are going to be hearing me say this very often. There is a right and wrong way of addressing an agenda. This film wasn't totally off-putting, but I couldn't help but notice that Maggie Gyllenhaal was not subtle whatsoever with her messaging, meaning that scene just kept beating my head over with the sledgehammer, the same talking points to the point where I'm like, okay, I get it. It wasn't on the degree that something like Greta Gerwig's Barbie was a couple years back. I know a lot of people really like that film, and I definitely need to revisit that in the near future. But one of the things that I didn't like about that movie is that one literally broke the fourth wall and was like lecturing the audience as opposed to propelling the plot. Here, it wasn't off-putting to that degree, but I think the execution of it was a bit much. Taking everything into account, I don't think this movie was miserable to sit through, but I just think that the overall story fell flat, and it gets messy when you get into the latter half of the film, and it definitely overstays its welcome by padding up the runtime with subplots that I just wasn't caring for or just not knowing when to end it. It's time for my final verdict of Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. Drum rolls, please. I'm gonna be giving The Bride a ba-bam, ba-bam, and that's going to do it for this episode of Rossi Reviews. Before I sign out, where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? Be sure to drop a comment if you had the opportunity to watch The Bride. I just want to say thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy days to check this review out. It's reassuring to me, but it's also telling YouTube that you are engaged with this content. So I would love for you to be along for my journey. We have a very monumental year of cinema ahead of us in the calendar year of 2026, so you're not going to want to miss it. A lot of bangers coming out. But as always, keep on enjoying the movies one scene at a time. It's your boy Ross Urso, over out, and cut.